Hello, my name is Ashtin. My opponent's claim is that music is more than just a form of entertainment, that listening to music holds many psychological benefits such as reducing stress, anxiety, reducing pain, and improving your memory. But I'm here to tell you that music can actually negatively affect your dopamine levels, negatively affect your memory, and has no direct ability to reduce your pain. Dopamine carries signals between nerves in the brain and is linked to the movement, sleep, mood, attention, and learning. My opponent claims that while listening to music, there is a release of dopamine in the brain that gives us a rush of euphoria that leads to an uplifted mood. He says, quote, "The next time you're feeling stressed, put on some good music and pay attention to the way it affects your mood and anxiety." The problem with this claim is that good music is in the ear of the beholder. The wrong kind of music can also cause hyperactivity. In a study of the potential negative impact of music, there's a study conducted on 36 mice split into 3 groups, A, B, and C. Group A had no music playing, which is the control. Group B had harmonic music that followed the natural laws of music. And Group C had disharmonic music that did not follow the natural laws of music. Besides Group A, which had no music, Group B and C were played at the same decibel slope. Nothing too loud. Researchers found that the neurons of mice in Group C were damaged and tangled, and the neurons of mice in Group A and B were normal. After which the remaining 24 mice were then trained in a maze situation for 3 weeks, given 3 weeks to rest, and then returned to see if they could recall how to run the maze. Groups A and B scored very well in the memory retention, whereas Group C could not recall how to run the maze, as well as exhibiting hyperactive, aggressive, and even cannibalistic behaviors, which also counteracts his claim that music can improve your memory. My opponent claims that music has the ability to improve one's memory, especially when it comes to those who are musically trained. He also mentions that people who aren't musically trained found that listening to neutral music, such as background piano or violin, tended to perform better on learning tests. He then backed his claim up sourcing Kenja Cherry of verywellmind.com, which seems a bit of a cop-out secondary source. But nonetheless, according to the researchers at University of Wales Institute, any music heard while trying to concentrate can be distracting and impair the ability to memorize and recall information. This conclusion was reached after 25 people were asked to recall information while in a quiet environment, and again while music was playing that the participants both liked and disliked. The study participants all performed better in the noiseless environment, leading the researchers to conclude that people should either perform tasks in quiet or listen to music prior to performing a task, not during the task. The American Speech Language Hearing Association notes that a student's ability to hear and understand what is being said in a classroom is vital for learning. Unfortunately, this ability can be reduced in a noisy classroom. Therefore, reducing sound and reverberation in any space used for learning is important. This goes for independent study as well. Music is a distraction. Causes hyperactivity, leaving your body to be focusing on more things than you need to. His third claim is that music doesn't directly help, does help reduce and manage your pain, but it can actually make it a little worse. My opponent claims that music can help reduce and manage pain. He says that the pain stimuli reliably decreases with the increasing music task demand, which leads me to believe that it's not music that's directly managing or reducing the pain, but rather putting our brains to focus on something else. In his statement, the pain that he talks about seems to be more about a physical pain than an emotional pain. He sources a study that includes fibromyalgia and another study that administrates electric shocks to its patients, all of which is physical pain. He then mentions that the pain reduction experience could also be the placebo effect. If we're basing the music's ability to reduce pain purely by uplifting our mood, we should also be aware that not all music is uplifting. Music has a direct influence on our mood. It can make you cry, angry, or frustrated. Music is a trigger to any emotion, and that means it could also make you feel pain. Sounds that don't follow the natural laws of music cause disharmony and can negatively affect our minds and body. According to a study by Dr. John Diamond, an Australian physician and psychiatrist, body muscles go weak when subjected to the stop anapestic beat in hard rock music. It also says that the shrill frequencies and irregular beats are harmful to the mind and body. So in conclusion, though music is predominantly a good thing, everything which is effective can be so for good or ill.
Right, the structural things are pretty clear. On the first point, you basically suggest that the notion that the dopamine is going to be positively affected depends on how the music is perceived and that good is subjective. You've got this is where that interesting study comes with all the mice that are being examined here, and the study on the mice seems to suggest that disharmonic music is going to produce some kind of difficulty, and I think that it would be easy to point to a variety of music that might fit into those categories that are popular. There's a whole bunch of music out there that isn't harmonic in nature. It violates the rules, whether it is hard rock music or rap music. There's a bunch of hip hop music that fits in these categories. I think that that's the kind of thing that you need to develop a little bit more and suggest that this is the most likely kind of music that people are going to be listening to, and as a consequence it's the least likely to produce the benefits that the advocate is talking about. The memory issue, it comes down to basically the same thing. You have a criticism of one of their pieces of evidence, and I'm not exactly sure why you dismiss it. You suggest that it's like there's a name that you said, or it's some organization or site that you seem to be treating in a very disparaging way, but I'm not sure why it is there's something wrong with that particular source. You come back to the issue that says any music can be distracting, and then now the issue is really about how music takes us away from what it is that we're focusing on. There are multitasking issues that are going on here and distraction issues, and I thought you had a pretty good piece of evidence here, although I think the rats make a return, not the rats, excuse me, the mice, let's distinguish. The mice make a little bit return visit here to remind us about the kinds of problems that are inherent whenever you have multiple things going on in your ear at once, apparently. The third point, I think your presumption here is that the music is a distraction from the pain rather than it is a treatment for the pain itself, which is probably an important distinguishing characteristic if we were talking about long-term treatment of pain. I think the advocate is suggesting that there might be a short-term mitigation here. It's not going to remove the cause of the pain, we know that, but it might make it more tolerable for a period of time. I don't really understand why the examples that you gave or that they gave demonstrate this point in the way that either side thinks their position justifies. It's just unclear. You mentioned studies that involve electric shock and fibromyalgia, and I'm going, well, okay, so music worked or it didn't work, and if it didn't work, why didn't it work, and if it worked, what proof is there? And like I said, it's largely unclear to me. I think you needed to, you're kind of focusing on the mood that the music creates, and it's really that's the thing that changes things. If mood can be enhanced by other things, then we don't necessarily need the music. Maybe that would be a way to go on that particular issue. The idea that you could also trigger negative kinds of moods, I think that's a good point to bring up, and suggest, for instance, that a lot of music does bring up these kinds of particular problems. You mentioned earlier, like being distracted or perhaps potentially aggression. I don't know that there's much documentation on this at this point. All right. Well, let's stop there.